Wild Running Part 2, Chapter 1. Tori Dashwood took a deep breath and blew it out in a sigh of exasperation. Why did people have to be so frustrating sometimes? She had already sent them all the information they needed on Bora's colt. He was recently weaned, and she decided to post him for sale, even though Anya wanted to keep him longer and train him herself. Tori had been surprised at the number of responses and had answered each one with her usual efficiency. The only person to get back to her so far had responded with questions that she had already answered. She was tempted to just ignore them. It wasn't worth it, really. But she found herself writing out a response anyway. No, he wasn't gelded. Yes, they were planning to geld him. Yes, he was registered. No, she wouldn't send paperwork without deposit. Yes, the deposit was that much. She took another deep breath and hit send before she changed her mind. She knew she had been bordering on rudeness in the response, but she couldn't bring herself to care. If they were serious, they would read what she wrote and hopefully reply after some thought and careful consideration. Tori ran a hand over her face and rubbed her eyes. It probably didn't help that she was exhausted. She'd been at work all day, had come home in time for dinner, that, thank the good Lord, she didn't have to cook, then had immediately set to work responding to the large number of emails and messages left for her. She was tired, drained, and needed some time to wind down for the day. So she changed into comfy pajamas, just in case someone was hanging around that she wasn't expecting, and went downstairs to the living room. She sat on the ancient, duct-taped, covered recliner and pulled the lever so she could put her feet up with a sigh of contentment. She grabbed the remote and switched on the television and began to scroll through the guide for a good movie to watch until she was sleepy enough to go to bed. "What are you watching?" Sean asked from the doorway, where he stood with Sam. They peered into the room with expectant expressions. She looked over at them and shrugged, relieved to have remembered to wear her modest pajamas. She used to be far more comfortable in revealing clothes, but had recently changed a lot of her ways when she had been saved. She'd been reading her Bible and was doing her best to apply what she read to her life. "I haven't picked anything yet," she told them. Apparently, taking that as an invitation, they entered and made themselves comfortable on the faded blue couch, the only other real item of furniture in the room. "Ooh, go back. I think I saw Die Hard," Sean instructed. "I have the remote, so I get to pick," she informed him primly. "I could take it from you," he replied with a challenging grin. She knew better. She really did. But she narrowed her eyes at him anyway and said, "You wouldn't dare." "Challenge accepted," he proclaimed and lunged for the remote. Tori squealed and dodged him, holding the remote just barely out of his reach. He simply readjusted and reached for it again, using his added length to reach it. He was more than a foot taller than her, 5'1", and he was using his extra height to his very unfair advantage. At the last moment, Tori stuffed it down her pajama shirt and crossed her arms over it. "You go down there and you're fired," she warned him. Sean's dark blue eyes glinted with amusement, but he relented and went back to his seat. "So what are you going to make us watch?" he asked, his tone purposefully as sorrowful as he could make it as he propped his chin in his hands and did his best to look pitiful. Tori laughed at him. He sounded remarkably like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. "I told you, I haven't decided yet." Anya appeared in the doorway and yawned. "What's all the racket about?" she asked. "Anya, go to bed," Sam told her from the couch. "I can't, I'm too tired," she told him, and squished herself into the narrow space between him and the couch arm. "What's going on?" "We are watching a movie. You are going to bed," Tori proclaimed, narrowing her dark eyes to send Anya a commanding glare. "I don't think I could sleep even if I really wanted to," Anya told him, smothering another yawn. "What movie?" Sam put his arm around her and pulled her head to rest in the crux of his shoulder as he leaned back so she could recline against him. "Just relax. You don't need to sleep if you don't want to," he murmured to her as he gently stroked her massive auburn hair. "Tori, are you going to pick something already?" Sean asked. Tori sighed to herself and put Die Hard on. Anya gratefully settled against Sam and enjoyed the 5 minutes that were left of the plot before a commercial break. Tori looked around and realized how sparse their living room was. A chair, couch, and television just didn't cut it, and the two of those 3 items should be either donated or thrown out. They really needed to get some more and better furniture. As much as she loved their old ragtag belongings, they needed their house to start looking more presentable. "Hey, Anya, you awake enough to tell me when we can go furniture shopping?" she asked her sleepy best friend. She and Anya Tyler had been best friends since high school, and where they had hatched the plot to buy and run a ranch together featuring the Canadian horse breed. Their dream had come true earlier than expected when Anya's parents died in a traffic accident and left everything they had to their only daughter. Anya had used the money she'd inherited to purchase the 75-acre farm and enough stock to start their still small breeding operation. Tori had continued working, more than aware that she hadn't put much into the farm financially. She'd put everything she had towards it, but she knew that it would always be more Anya's than hers. She accepted that, doing what she could to contribute with whatever time and money she had, but deep down she knew that they would never be full partners, even if Anya did treat her like one. Their ranch, Wild Running, was starting to make a name for itself for the quality horses it turned out. Locally, they were popular to bring troubled or untrained horses to, so Anya could work her magic on them and get them into shape for their owners. Their most recent hire, April Hansen, had shown a serious interest in the training side of things and was quickly learning to pull her own weight in that department thanks to Anya's tutelage. Tori mostly did paperwork and dealt with the lion's share of the communications. She arranged things behind the scenes with a lot of help from Sam Webster, Anya's boyfriend, and their ranch foreman. Sean Wright and Blake Wood were their multi-purpose hires and could do everything from putting up buildings and running machinery to cleaning, tack, and mucking stalls. Tori knew they'd be lost without the men, as neither she nor Anya had any real knowledge in the crop and machinery department. They mostly left Sean in charge of that. How about next weekend? Anya suggested through yet another yawn. Tori laughed. Go to bed, Anya. Seriously, you're about to pass out on the couch. Anya shrugged. Sam will carry me up if that happens, she assured with confidence in her man. He was 5'11" and stocky, well up to the task of carrying Anya's 5'7" frame, even if she was all muscle herself. Tori squashed the spurt of jealousy that rose up and relented. Fine, as long as he's okay with that. Sam nodded and winked. Tori pushed back so her chair reclined all the way with a pained screeching noise, and she settled in to watch the rest of the movie with her friends until they were all ready to go to bed. Sam carried Anya up as promised before he and Sean left for the night and the house settled. Morning dawned cold and cloudy, and Tori glared out the window at the dark clouds converging over the empty fields. The crops had been taken in the month before, the grain and second cut of hay stored for winter use, and with it the workload had also diminished to a more reasonable level. They were expanding the farm a little at a time and had recently put up a second barn for the horses they bought or were boarded there to get trained. Unfortunately, without the benefit of an indoor arena, they were limited by the weather. Tori sighed her disappointment. She didn't work weekends, and she had been looking forward to taking a long ride to de-stress. Resigned, she dressed in jeans and a red V-neck knit sweater and brushed out her long, wavy black hair. She took a moment in the bathroom and applied a touch of makeup before going downstairs and into the kitchen. She inhaled and grinned. Ah, pancakes, she said appreciatively. Sean turned and smiled at her, nodding. Nothing like nice hot blueberry pancakes on a miserable fall day, he told her, as he turned back and deftly flipped one. I prefer chocolate, personally, she replied, smiling in anticipation of his reaction. She and Sean worked well together in the kitchen and did quite frequently. And while she'd never say anything to him, she'd had a major crush on him since day one. He was tall and handsome, his dark blue eyes often sparkling with a humor that lit up his entire face. She had the urge to run her hands through his sandy brown hair, but she always managed to control herself. He was a strong man, muscular and fit, but he was also the sweetest, funniest guy she knew. Sean whirled back around and gaped at her comically. That had better not be some sort of complaint, Tori Dashwood, he warned, shaking his spatula at her. She laughed as he intended and sat on the edge of the long bench that made up the side of the kitchen table. The hands often ate with them, so the kitchen dining area was set up with plenty of space for lots of people. The long wooden table had only 2 chairs at the head and foot, and the sides were both taken up by long benches that allowed for maximum seating, rather like an extra-long picnic table. The kitchen was a chef's dream, all stainless steel appliances with tons of storage and cooking space. The oven was her favorite feature, a 48-inch gas range with 6 burners and a grill as well as double ovens. It made her nearly drool every time she looked at it. She and Sean kept it clean religiously, and she sometimes wondered which of them loved it more. It was her biggest and most prized contribution to their farm. She was chef and couldn't have lived with a second-rate oven. Anya had been happy to leave her to it, since she could barely boil water, so the kitchen was Tori's territory, one she shared with Sean out of self-preservation. She needed him there to do the cooking and cleaning while she worked, but there was also a part of her that wanted to kick him out and take over, especially times like this when she wanted to get lost in something that soothed her the way horseback riding or cooking did. Realization dawned. She hated cooking at the diner. It didn't soothe or relax her the way cooking at home did. It was a job, one she was good at, but not one that fed her passion. She wasn't free to explore or create recipes. She was stuck with the same old meals day in and day out. She had to quit. Panic welled up at the thought of the lost income. If she quit her job, her only finances would come from the farm, from the work that Anya did, rather than from her own contributions. She didn't know if she could handle that. Was there something she could do here that could make her feel more like a contributing member of the ranch? I'll be back in a minute, she told Sean, and jumped up and raced upstairs. She knocked on Anya's door, and when there was no response, just barged in. She flopped down on the bed beside Anya and shook her friend by the shoulder to wake her. Anya, she called. Anya groaned and tried to roll away from the persistent pestering. Anya, wake up, I need to talk to you, Tori insisted. Recognizing the urgency in her tone, Anya forced herself to peek one green eye open and look up at Tori's face. What? She asked grumpily. She looked at the clock and groaned again. She needed another hour before her long day started. I want to quit my job and work here full time. There, it was out there now, and she couldn't take it back. She waited for Anya's response tensely, half expecting an outright denial or a command that she didn't have a choice. So do it. Tori blinked. Are you sure? I won't be able to help out as much financially, she argued. Anya rubbed her eyes and sat up. Tori, the ranch is making enough to support us, so if you want to do more here, that's great. With you helping here, we could probably even take on more boarders or training prospects than we can now. She started to get excited. I actually have my eye on a training project that I was hoping to buy as soon as Superstar gets picked up. The handsome piebald gelding had a bright future ahead of him as a barrel racer, and was due to be picked up by his new owner as soon as they finished making arrangements. Joy blossomed in Tori's heart, and she flung herself at Anya in an exuberant hug. I'm giving my notice on Monday. Good, Anya said, and glared at the clock. Now get out so I can go back to sleep. Don't skip breakfast. Sean's making blueberry pancakes. Oh, no, I have to get up. You know those are my favorite. She pulled off her blankets and got up and stretched, her belly button peeking out from under her pajama top. I'm going to shower, then I'll be down. Maybe some hot water will wake me up enough to function, she groused. Tori laughed at her and went back to the kitchen, an added bounce in her step.